Today we'll be talking about 5 points that you should know before you get started this semester. They are to read your syllabus. I'll talk about the importance of the syllabus and what that is if you haven't heard of that before. The second one is where to buy the books. There's ways to find them cheaper, and I'll talk about those things. The other one is how to get organized as a college student so that you don't miss any deadlines. The other one is interacting with teachers or professors. And the last one is to ask for help. So we'll review each one of these. Like I said, if there's something you wish you would have known and I didn't cover, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer those questions. So the major thing is to read your syllabus. We have this meme. It says, what if I told you the information you seek is in the syllabus? So each professor is required by the school to provide a syllabus to the students for each class. The syllabus is a course guide. So it's a piece of paper that's like a contract that the teacher is saying, these are the class rules, these are the expectations, these are the due dates. It talks about the reading, the weekly reading guide, exam dates. It talks about the grading scale and the weight of assignments. So it could be that they give you a quiz every week. They're going to tell you what days that quiz is given on, and then it will tell you how many points is for that quiz. So it might be that there's 100 quizzes during that semester, but they only weight 1 point. So it's not as heavy as a semester exam, that maybe the semester exam is 50% of your grade or something crazy like that. So definitely keep that in mind, that you want to look at the grade scale, and then because sometimes they don't grade according to what you're used to in high school, where each one of them is weighted the same. It's 100 points and you get your A or B or whatever. So a lot of times they, even if it's a big exam, it might only be worth like 3 points or 10 points. So definitely take a look into that. It also talks about student office hours. Those are the hours where you can go to the professor's office and ask any questions that you have. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Please note that for this syllabus, like I said, they'll give it to you the first day of school. Sometimes they make you sign a paper saying that you received it. And a lot of times they'll quiz you on the syllabus. So it's important that you look at this whole thing and that you save it the whole year or the whole semester. Because if, say, the professor changed something or did it differently than what he said on the syllabus, and that caused you to miss an exam or miss an assignment or just mess up your grade, then that syllabus, you can use it, like I said, like a contract, and say, hey, the professor said that it was going to be this way, and then he changed it around, which caused me to get a bad grade. And so you have that power to show that as a proof, and then the professor will be held accountable because he set that on that contract, on that syllabus. So it's important to keep it and to know what's in there so you can protect yourself and you'll know your rights, basically. Any questions so far with the syllabus? All right. So the next thing is research where you buy the books. So as you know, books can be expensive, but there are cheaper options. So the best thing is to do your research early on the books that are required. If you already chose your classes, you can go to the school's bookstore website. So for example, if you're going to Pulaski Tech, you type in Pulaski Tech bookstore or ULR bookstore, whatever the case may be. And they have a form on there where you can put what class you're taking and the codes for that class, and it will let you know what book you need. And that way you know before classes start what are the required books. By having that information, you'll be able to do this thing. So by having those books, by knowing what books you need, you can start looking at other places and start determining which books you should buy and where, and comparing prices. we usually say that it's better to buy used books. And if you can rent used books, it's better because it'll be cheaper. Sometimes they rent books that are brand new and they tend to be more expensive than if you just buy the book, if you just rent the book and it's used. So keep that in mind. Like I said, the books, they don't have to be the newest one. I remember when I started college, I wanted the newest book and I wanted to keep it. And then I realized that I spent all this crazy money and then I never used that book again after the first semester. And then if you try to sell it back, they're only going to give you pennies for it. So it's better to just do the used books, rent them, return them at the end of the semester. It's really important to compare prices because there's that same book can be sold on like eBay, or it can be on Amazon, or there's a bunch of college book websites where you can buy them. There's I think it's called like New Egg or something like that, where you can buy books. You can also check on your bookstore. So that's the store at the college. And then there's also a college bookstore like textbook brokers. Textbook brokers, I noticed that they're usually close to the college that you want to go to, and they tend to have books that are a little bit cheaper than the bookstore at the college. So make sure you look at those prices and see which one has it at a cheaper rate, and maybe at one place it's used and at the other one is new, and you can see which one is cheaper. Like I said, I always check online. I remember most of my books, I always found them online at a way cheaper price. Also, look for a student who can lend them to you at a lower price. Sometimes those students that do not know about the different prices, they end up buying the books and then they realize that they don't need them. So then they're willing to sell them to you at a cheaper price, especially once you start college and you start making those relationships with the students, with other classmates. They might take a class that you later on take, and they'll be able to sell those books to you. The other one is electronic versions. For me personally, I like the electronic versions for the books better, because that meant I didn't have to carry the book around. I will never forget it because it was in my laptop. And then also, I found the power of Control Find on your keyboard. So for example, sometimes I didn't have time to read an assignment. And since I had the book on my computer, it was electronic, I could just do the Control Find, and I was able to find that keyword instead of having to flip through a book trying to find that section I was thinking about. Everyone is different, so it might be that electronic versions do not work for you. But like I said, they work for me, because even if we had like an open book test, I could have it open on my computer. And like I said, I'll do the Control Find and I'll find those keywords, and it won't take as much time as someone trying to flip through their book, trying to remember where they saw that word or that section. So look at those. They also tend to be cheaper because they're not wasting any paper to print the book or anything like that. So just look at the options. Mainly do your research before you buy the book, because chances are that they'll be sold cheaper somewhere else. Any questions about the book so far? Okay. Then let's move to number 3. Oh, one last thing. Never make the mistake of not buying the books to save money. I had students where they asked me, hey, do I have to buy the books? The answer is yes. Without the books, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Going back for a minute, just a real quick question. I'm doing my courses online. Will my syllabus be found under the Blackboard, or? So
sometimes the professors put them on Blackboard, and then before classes start, and then some of them prefer to wait until classes start, and they'll give them to you the first day of class. So
go ahead. But what if your classes are just online? Like, I won't be coming in person at all to receive the syllabus.
Yes, the syllabus will be on the blackboard then.
Okay.
It is required for them to give it to the students. So either they'll put it on the blackboard or they'll email it to you. But I'm
Okay.
guessing most professors will put them on blackboard and then might quiz you on it. So it's important to take a look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
the syllabus will have information about the books that you need. A lot of times students wait for the beginning of classes or until they get the syllabus to buy the books, because
Okay.
it could be that the professor is required to put a book up, to have a book for the student, but in reality he really doesn't want you to get that book. It's just that he was required to ask for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Sandra,
yes.
you have another question.
Okay, on the chat.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Will some teachers not allow electronic versions? That's a really good question. So some professors, and this is from my experience, some professors don't care, others do care. What I always did is I waited until the first day of classes to really, hear what the professor had to say, for him to explain the syllabus to me, and then I'll ask them, is it okay to have an electronic version? And is it okay for me to have my laptop open, taking questions? Some professors are okay with you having your laptop open and having your electronic book, but other professors, they might not trust you to not be on your laptop on Facebook during class or something like that. So they might say no, that they don't want you to have the laptop open and an electronic book. So I always ask. That's why I say that I always waited for the first day of classes to see what books they really needed. They really wanted us to have, and then I went and bought them. And the professors understand that a lot of students are not going to have their books until like maybe the second week of school. So they tend to wait until they actually assign things from the book. And then if you guys have any questions, please keep putting them in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer them, or you can unmute yourself and ask those questions. So yeah, for the books, make sure you have them. They're necessary. If the professor says that they're needed, then make sure you have them. It'll be almost impossible to do anything without the book. I had a student that said, can I just find all that information online, like Google it? The answer is no. A lot of things that are on the books will not be online, or they'll be different from what the professor is asking. So keep that in mind. All right, get organized. So organization is very important because it's difficult to remember all the deadlines. Most of you guys are going to take 5 classes. So 5 classes with different assignments, different deadlines, different quizzes and tests and projects and all that. So it's going to be hard to try to keep that in your head and remember all those deadlines. And if you don't write them down somewhere or organize them, then that's just going to lead you to miss something. So here are some tips for getting organized. Obviously, the actual list is going to be long. It's going to be a lot of information. So I only put a few of them, but I encourage you to go on Google and type in things like ways to get organized, or organization skills for college students, organization tips for college students, things like keywords like that. You can look them up, and then you'll have a plethora of information regarding organization for college students. Like I said, I'm only going to share a few of them. So the first one is to use a calendar or an agenda. This can be a hard copy or digital. For me, throughout my college career, I always used a hard copy because I like to have it in front of me and look at it and make marks and highlight things. But now, as a professional, I tend to do digital, like a Google Calendar, and I like to do that now because it tends to be easier, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. The other one is to keep your class schedule visible. A lot of times, students, especially at the beginning of the semester, they tend to forget that they have class. And because they forgot, like, oh, I forgot Mondays I have 2 classes instead of just 1. So make sure you print that out, put it maybe as your phone screen for a while until you get used to it, or print it out and put it on behind your agenda book, or put it on your folder, something like that. For me, I always put it on my phone. It was always my screen, my lock screen on my phone until I was able to memorize the classes and the times and all that. Use color coding. The color coding can be really useful whenever it gets to like big projects and exams. You can always put on there like, okay, well, exams are gonna be in red. So if you're looking down at looking ahead in your agenda, you can see that in red and say, okay, I need to start preparing for this test that's coming up. Or if it's green, it could be a project, or, you know, yellow, a quiz, just whatever colors you want to use. Have them on your agenda so that they can pop out and you can understand what it's coming up. And then have a to-do list. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of assignments, especially since you'll be taking 5 classes or more, or around 5 classes. You want to make sure that you have that to-do list and you're checking it each day to make sure that you're getting things done. And it also encourages you when you're able to see that you've done several things and you're taking them off the list as you go. I wanted to show you, this is what I used. I know it looks like a mess, but there's a system to it. This is what I used when I was doing my master's. These are, I believe, 3 classes worth. So what I did is I took the syllabus and I looked at all the dates and the assignments. So I combined my 3 classes into one massive master agenda. So as you can see in January right here, let me see if I can give me 1 second. I'll just do it like that. As you can see here in January, I had the dates, and I put that whenever I have class, because sometimes some of the professors didn't have class. So I just put in red the days that I had to go to class. Then January 22nd, I had readings, and then see right here, I have some things that are in green. Those are like major assignments or quizzes or things like that I had to worry about. Like see right here, it says theory, application paper, final report. So I highlighted those things. So I knew that anything that was red, it meant I had to go to class, and anything green, it was like an intro paper or like an assignment. Here I put the professor, so what professor it was, and then any notes that I needed. So see Blackboard, see syllabus, anything like that. Send to his email before class, you know, things like that. And then I put if it was done or if it was incomplete. And as you can see, I scratched things off as I was going along, and this can really see, this will allow you to stay motivated because you see how you're finishing off the semester and you get closer and closer until the end of the semester over here. So you don't have to do this. I just wanted to show you that's an example of how I stayed organized when I was in college. Everyone works differently. Just try different things and see what works better for you. Any questions about this one? Like I say, it might look a little confusing, but it's what worked for me. And it was a master of all 3 classes. Instead of having 3 different agendas, I kept it all in one. This other one, I used it in conjunction to the other one. This one, I actually laminated, and then I bought those washable markers. So I would write something and I was able to wipe it down with a wet paper towel. So see, I put the due date here and then the assignment. So it went a little bit more in detail. I put the initials of the professor and then any notes. So when it says see back, and then I look at the back, it says readings, and I wrote the readings. So this actually worked for me really good because it was just like a half sheet laminated and I could write on it with markers. And like I said, this is what helped me stay organized. But for you, if this doesn't work, I'm sure something else will. Just look for different options on Google and you can find a lot of them. This other one, like I said, now that I'm a professional, I tend to do everything on Google Calendar because I can link it to my phone. So as you can see, this is an example of my calendar. I just took a screenshot of it this morning, and you can see that green is like work related, and then blue is, and then purple is more like personal, and then I have different things like that. So just keep that in mind, that Google, it's a really good option to put on your phone, and then put your events on there and assignments, and you can color code as well. Any questions before we move on to number 4? All right. And remember, you can always put them on the chat. So the 4th one is to interact with professors. Students are often afraid to talk to professors, but interacting with them is a very good thing for academic growth. So don't have just a relationship where you show up to class and you might raise your hand every so often and then you move on with life. Don't do that. You want to make sure that you talk to the professor maybe before class, after class, maybe discuss with him, tell him or her, tell him a little bit about you, and really engage with that individual, because and if you're not able to do it before class or after class, they do have office hours. The professors are required to have office hours specifically for the students. So they have to be in their office during those hours to tend to the students. And that will be on the syllabus too. It should be at the beginning of the syllabus. It says on there when they're available to meet with you. And having that relationship with them helps with job opportunities, because they might know about jobs regarding that area, that subject. They might be able to write you a letter of recommendation for the future, especially if you're going into the career and going into the workforce in the future. You won't have a lot of experience where another employer can recommend you or anything like that. So the professor can write you that letter of recommendation, but they won't be happy to do it, or they won't be able to write out enough for that letter of recommendation if you don't reach out to them and create that relationship and get them to know you. The other one is advising. They can always talk to you about your future goals, your future classes. I remember for me, there was a period during my college career that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in the future or what job I wanted to go into. So I remember setting up appointments with my professors and talking to them and kind of asking them for advice, because I know they had experience, from life experience, professional experience. So they'll sit down with me and kind of talk to me about what they did and what they recommended. So it was always good to hear from them who were the experts. And then for further discussion, sometimes if I didn't understand something in class, I will reach out to them and sit with them after hours or during their student office hours and ask them to expand on the information that they presented, or see if they can explain it a different way so that I could understand the information. Any questions on reaching out to professors? Okay, and then also one thing, I know that life happens a lot of times, especially for adults or just anybody. Life happens, and then you might miss an exam or miss an assignment or something like that. If you reach out to the professor and he's never known about you, he didn't even know you were in the class or something, he's not gonna try to go out the way to help you out. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had put a question in on the chat. I think I did it correctly.
Yeah, 2 of my classes are in person, but I was told that I can request to do online. Okay, yeah, so do you know who told you about those classes? If it was a professor, then you can reach out to the professor and let them know that.
It was actually Nicolette through advising, who signed me up for my classes, had told me that information. And then she had said, once I go on and see my courses and the teachers, to then contact the professors to let them know that I need, that I'm requesting to do just online.
Okay. Then you actually just answered your question. You said that she wants you to reach out to the professor and tell them that you want it online. So
Right, I just wasn't sure how to go about that because I don't have any email addresses or anything.
yeah, so if you're able to pull up your classes on
Mhm.
your student portal, and you'll have your schedule there. If you click on it, the name of the professor should appear there, and if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken, their email should appear on there as well. So you
Okay,
can
I'll
use that
definitely
and
check
send
it
them an
out.
email, and you can also start that relationship with them and introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about you, maybe tell them you're excited to take that class, and that way they'll remember you. So if something happens in the future or you're not able to turn in an assignment and you ask for an extension, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the student who was excited about my class, or that's the student I remember. Whereas if you never reach out and then whenever you need them, you reach out, they might be like, oh, I don't even know who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
No problem. So any questions about reaching out to professors and how important that is? All right. So let's move on to the next thing. So asking for help. Um, Colleges have a lot of free resources, and the reason why we put like quotation marks over free is because they're not truly free, since you already paid for them when you were whenever you pay for all those fees at the beginning with along with your tuition, you already pay for those resources, so it's best to take advantage of them. A lot of students don't take advantage of them mainly because they don't know that they're available. So the sooner you learn about them, the more likely you are to succeed and take advantage of those. These are some of the ones that we thought that students often forget about, so we wanted to mention them, but this is not an extended list. There's a lot more than this, but we wanted to touch on this one. One of them is writing center. So if you're taking the composition class or a class that requires writing and you don't feel comfortable with your writing or need extra assistance, you can always go to the writing center and they'll be happy to look over the paper and give you some tips or help you brainstorm or lay it out. So they'll help you with that. I know I took advantage of that several times whenever I had to write big papers, and they'll give me feedback, and it really did help. The other one is academic centers. This is where you can find tutors. So if you're struggling in math or any other class, reach out to these centers and see if they can see if they can provide a tutor for you. Do not wait until the semester is almost over to reach out. As soon as you see that you're starting to struggle, go ahead and reach out, because you don't want it to be too late and it will be hard to bring up your grade. So definitely reach out as soon as you see that you're having a hard time. Don't wait. The other one is information technology centers. A lot of colleges have this where you can go, and if you're having technical difficulties with your laptop or anything like that, you can go and they can help you. Also, if you need like Microsoft installed or you're having difficult with PowerPoint or something like that, they can help you install it on your computer, or they can help you resolve whatever issue you may have with your computer. The other one is food pantry. A lot of colleges have this where you can go and get the food that you may need. They have fresh food or they have those canned ones, but they have them and they're free resources for you to use. The health clinic, the colleges have a nurse on staff. So whenever you're not feeling well, you can always go to them first before going to the hospital and having to spend all that money. So always take advantage for them because they're free. See if it's necessary. They can give you advice on whether it's whether you need to go to the doctor or not. Obviously, if it's an emergency, go to the ER. But if it's something like you're feeling a cold or something like that, you can go to the health clinic first. The other one is a mental health counselor. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling depressed, or having relationship issues, or any issues overall, anxiety, anything like that, especially during this COVID um, thing that we're going through, you can always reach out to them, and they'll have professional workers and counselors that will be willing to help you. And then the last one is the fitness center. I've heard of students that pay a membership fee to like LA Fitness or other gyms, but they don't realize that they already pay for the gym at their school. So why not use it? Basically, you're paying for 2 gyms. So take advantage of those that you already paid for. That was mandatory before you go somewhere else. And like I said, this is not the whole list. These are some of the ones that students tend to miss a lot of times. Any questions on this one? All right. This one is some online resources that you can use. One of them, the first one was my best friend throughout high school and college. It was a citation machine. Because as you know, once you get into college, you'll have to write a lot of essays, or even when you were in high school, you have to write all these essays and you have to get credit to the source where you found it or the author or whatever the case may be. And you have to put a specific like title, the date, the pages, the website, and it gets really confusing. And the teachers are really, really picky with this citation. So the best thing you can do is use, like, for example, citation machine and this formats, like APA format, MLA. If all these sound new to you, if you never heard of this before, definitely take a look at this website. And I'll share these links at the end. But definitely start looking at these websites and know that they're there to make your life easier. These professors are going to be picky. They're going to take off points for not citing correctly, for not giving accreditation. So this is actually going to save your life. And I cannot stress that enough. It really saved my life because instead of going through a book, trying to figure out how to do the citation, you can just plug everything in and then and you click submit and it will give you the citation that you need. The other one is Purdue. It's a writing lab. You can, they'll have a lot of resources from like formatting an essay to how to write an essay. They'll have a lot of resources on there as well. And then there's this other one with the math and algebra where you can get some tutoring on that. So definitely take advantage of this. Don't try to do everything on your own. One of the things about college is to grow as an individual and to take advantage of resources. And this is one thing that will help you to do just that. Like for me, I don't think I would have been able to complete college if it wasn't for all these resources that were available to me. And it just made my journey much easier and smooth. All right. And these are only some of them. There's, like I said, a lot more materials that are useful for college, and you can always Google them and say, okay, well, useful websites for college students or things like that, and they'll pop up. And I encourage you to take a look at them, and because later on you might need them. All right, so this is the bonus tip that I wanted to give each one of you. It's called Rate My Professor. Has anyone heard of Rate My Professor before? Okay. So what Rate My Professor is, I'll click on it and go to it. So I'm guessing most of you guys already chose the classes that you'll be taking for the fall. And I encourage you to go in here and look at the professor that you'll be taking and see what their rating is. The students, after they take a class, they come in here and rate the professors, and you'll see what kind of professor it is. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it hard to understand? All that information is going to be here. For me, this was a lifesaver because if I knew there were 5 professors that were teaching math and I was horrible at math, then I'll research each of those 5 professors on here and see which one was the easiest or the one that explained the best. Yes, go ahead.
How did you, I'm sorry, I missed it. How did you originally get in there to see all that?
To see the professors?
Yeah. I mean,
so,
to go, yeah.
So once you have your schedule, you'll see the professors on there.
Right.
You also have the power to change your classes. Usually,
I'm sorry. I mean, how did you get in to see what they are rated and everything, like what you're showing us?
It's called ratemyprofessors.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so ratemyprofessors.com. So usually what you'll do, you have the power to add to your schedule and take classes off. The academic advisors usually do it for you to make it a little bit easier, but know that you do have the power to do it on your own or to change a professor or anything like that. On your student portal, there's an option where you can search the classes as well. So if you know you have to take an English class, you can look up the English class, look at what professors offer it and the times. And if there's several professors and you don't know which one might be best, you can always look them up on here and see which one is the easiest or which one is the easiest to understand or the most helpful. So let's take a look at this. I want to give you guys an example. So say, for example, this professor is from Pulaski Tech. For this one, their level of difficulty is 1.8. So it's a pretty easy class, it looks like. I mean, yeah, because the difficulty is only 1.8. And all of the students that rated him said that they will take him again. And they said, great professor. I took the class online. He provides very thorough YouTube videos to help with each section. Difficulty is 3. Quality of the professor is 5. That's the highest you can get. So it seems like all the students that took him said that he was a good person. And this was for like math and algebra. So attendance is mandatory. The students got A's and B's. See, they didn't need a textbook. So it seems like this was a good professor. So if I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I might take this professor. But what if that math class, what if it was that professor and then this one, they both were teaching the same class? Would I choose the other one or this one? This one has a 1.6 over 5. It's a bummer professor. It says, as others have said, she is very rude. I always felt that everything I turned in was never enough and she will ask for more information. So it's awful, awful. Textbook is mandatory. This person got a D, B minus. This person said they would not take it again. So now I know this information and I'm getting ready to choose my classes and both of them teach the same class. Which one do you think I'm gonna go with? This one or the other one? Right. So obviously the other one is a better option. But if I would have not known about Rate My Professor, what if I would have ended up with this one? Then I would have definitely struggled my first semester and I would have probably had a hard time and just stressed out. So it's good to have this information, to know this. To me, this was a lifesaver. I always research all my professors before actually choosing the class, and it made it much easier. Any questions on Rate My Professor? Yes.
Yes. So I already have my classes and everything. You know, I'm already registered and everything. So if I come across this situation, will I be able to change my professor still?
Yes. So since you chose your classes already, like I said, on your student portal, you should be able to see the classes, and there's like a search engine for classes as well. So if you can find another professor that's teaching that class at the same time and they have a better rating, then you should be able to go on there and change the professor. And if you can do it on there,
contact my advisor.
Yeah, you can either contact the advisor or try to do it on there. I'm not familiar with the Pulaski Tech one because I never had to choose them. I did mine through UALR, and through UALR I was able to change the professors on my own. But you can try doing it on your own. If it doesn't let you, then try to contact your academic advisor. And the hardest thing is to make sure that it's during the same time, or it's a time that it's still good and it fits your whole schedule. So I know a lot of times I'll spend like 3 hours trying to figure everything out to make sure I had the good professors during the times that I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Francisco said, do you need an account to use Rate My Professor? No, you do not need an account. You can just look up the professor by their first and last name, and then they'll pop up Not all of them are on there, but most of them are. I know that I went on there myself a few times and rated some professors that I knew other students should not take. So I made sure that I put that on there, like do not take this professor or something like that. So, but yeah, you don't need an account. So let me go back. All right. So any questions about this bonus tip, Rate My Professor? Like I said, to me, this was a great resource to have. It just made my life easier because I knew if I did not like history class and I hated history and I didn't care for it, it wasn't going to help me for my career. I made sure that I took the easiest professor possible. So I was researched them here and got the easiest one. But of course, if you're going to be an accountant or something like that, then you want to take a professor that it's not easy, but is helpful and provides good information because that is going to help you in the long run. Other things that I wanted to touch up before I open it up for questions is your financial aid should be processed by now. If you haven't received your award letter yet, then make sure you reach out to the financial aid office or reach out to me and I can help you figure it out. But for as of right now, you should have that figured out because classes are around the corner. You want to make sure that you have your money, your aid to get to pay for school. And yes, Summer.
I did get an email from everybody but financial aid saying that everything is good to go, but I have not officially gotten my award letter yet. But I was told that everybody was thinking that it should be sometime today. So should I maybe just give it through the day, and if not tomorrow, check with somebody? Or
yeah, if you don't hear anything today, give me a call tomorrow morning, or your trio counselor, and we can help you call the school and make sure that everything it's good to go, because it might be that there's a document that you need to turn in and it hasn't been turned in, so you want to make sure that that's done as soon as possible.
Right, yeah, because I had gotten an email actually from Mr. Jackson and from advising and really everybody saying that all of my ducks are in a row or what have you. So I'm just really waiting for the award letter. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, and the best thing is to log into your financial aid portal and just double check that there's nothing else that they are missing, because sometimes they'll say like, oh, everything's turned in, and then they do a final review and find out that they needed to ask for another document, and then they post it on there. But if you're not checking, then you might miss it. But if everything is on there after you check, and if you don't hear anything from them by like tomorrow or something, reach out to us and we can help you reach out to them and double check. And another question said, when will ADHE scholarships be awarded? So those scholarships, they awarded them to most students. I know they're still processing some, but for most students, they should already have it. I did notice that some students were, for some reason, not getting the email or oversaw it or something. So the best thing to do is to log in to your ADHE portal, and that's scholarships.adhe.edu. If you log in there, it should tell you what the status is. If you click on it, it's going to tell you if they're missing any other documents or if you just need to accept the scholarship. I had several students, they did not get the email, but when we log into the portal, we were able to see that they were awarded a scholarship. So they were able to go on there and accept it. So definitely check on that. And if it's not popping up or they're missing something that you know you turned in, let us know and we can help you give them a call or figure out what's going on. So, like I said, just to recap. Give me a second. Just to do a small recap, these are the things that we deem the most important when starting school. Definitely take a look at that syllabus. It's gonna have all the information you need to know to be successful. Everything the teacher expects from you is gonna be there. Definitely research your books. It's no point of spending a lot of money on them. The cheaper the better, because it's gonna be the same information on there. Ask if you can get previous versions, because previous versions of books sometimes are cheaper too. So the professor might be okay with you getting a previous version. Get organized, Google it, see what organization tips they have and see what works for you. Definitely interact with teachers. They're gonna be your lifesavers. They're gonna be there to protect you, and they're gonna be there to provide all those resources that you need if you create that relationship with them. And then always ask for help, whether you come back to us and ask us, or any advisors, any professors, any classmates, always ask for that. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you come up with any other questions after this, let me know. You can email me or you can call me and I'll be happy to answer them. So enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck on your first day of classes. I hope that everything comes out the way that you were expecting.